So the bad news is the Columbus Blue Jackets lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning last night. Good news is the game is over. It doesn't appear that anyone is going to be seriously hurt by the antics of last night. The bad news is that the Blue Jackets have to play them again tomorrow. We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, you're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jay Foster, I am your host, and I am super glad that you are all here with me to, not enjoy talking about the Blue Jackets, because last night was not the most fun that we've ever had, but I'm glad that you are all here to enjoy this podcast. Hopefully, thank you for making this your first listen of the day, or your first watch of the day if you are joining me over on YouTube. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms, and also if you're not watching this on video, you can. We are on YouTube. We have been for about a month and a half now. It's been pretty fun. So make sure you go on over there and hit subscribe on YouTube, and help a guy out. Today we're going to talk about the game last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which again not the most fun that we've ever had watching a Tampa Bay Blue Jackets game. And we're also going to do another prospect profile. We're going to be sitting down with Patrik Bexell, talking a little bit about another Swedish prospect that is coming up in a minute. But first we have to talk about the game. And honestly, I feel like this is like the third game in a row where the Blue Jackets have allowed a goal in the first 5 minutes. And I've just kind of been like, well, here we go again. Nikita Kucherov, because of course it was Nikita Kucherov, scores to make it 1-0, a minute 37 into the first period. Oliver Bjorkstrand briefly gives us hope by scoring his 26th of the season, just under 3 minutes in on power play, no less, which is cool and fun. Zach Werenski, I believe that is a career high in points for him. I want to say 48 points he's at, which is third most in Blue Jackets history for single scoring by a defenseman. So that's cool and neat. What wasn't cool and neat was basically immediately after that, he took a puck to the face and just started pouring blood. He has taken a puck to the face before that horrible injury against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the playoffs a few years back. He's had 2 documented concussions this calendar year alone, and it's only April 27th. So him getting hit in the face does not fill me with a ton of joy, even though he did return for the second period. Not the most confidence I've ever had in the concussion spotters, I'm not going to lie. And then from there, Steven Stamkos took over. A 4-point night for Steven Stamkos. He hit 100 points on the season for the first time ever. Nikita Kucherov also had a 4-point game because sure, why not? 2 goals from Steven Stamkos, 1 on the power play, 1 at even strength, and then Andre Palat puts the dagger in, makes it 4-1 at 14:53 of the third period. That would be game. A lot of the beat reporters, and I kind of agree with this, a lot of them talked about, well, this wasn't as uneven as the score would seem to say. The Blue Jackets, however, were outshot 32-21. They had more hits. The Tampa Bay Lightning had 25 blocked shots, which it does kind of give the impression that it was probably a little bit more of an even playing field, because if you take blocked shots into account, the Blue Jackets would have had 46 shots on goal to the Tampa Bay's 40, if you take into account the 8 block shots that Columbus had. But I don't know, this was what I expected. I tweeted about this a little bit before the game. There was my hopes are that no one gets hurt, which check. Or what's the opposite of a check? Big big red flashing X on that one. Elvis did not allow more than 5 goals, which we'll take that as a victory. And Kent Johnson did not score, although he came pretty close. That second power play unit continues to look good. The kid unit with Johnson, Sillinger, Chudikov, Blankenberg, and I believe Jake Bean was the fifth guy out there. Like, looked pretty good. It was good to see Kent Johnson get more ice time as well. He had just under 12.5 minutes, as opposed to the 8 minutes he got against Edmonton. That is more of what I want from Kent Johnson. Brad Larson, are you listening? Blankenberg had a little bit lower ice time. However, he did jump up to that first line pairing with Werenski when they both left due to, we assume injury. For Blankenberg, it might have been an equipment issue. Also for Blankenberg, he was credited with 8 hits on the night because, once again, no one has told this kid that he is not 5'8". He doesn't seem to know that. He thinks he's 6'6", and he plays like it, which is just super fun. The only other Blue Jacket with more than 3 hits was Dean Kukan, who had 4. So he doubled up on the next highest hitting player on the Blue Jackets. So, good for him. Once again, the young players continue to impress. I would have liked to see some of them get on the score sheet. I think Ken Johnson is really kind of pushing for that goal. The first one, he had a shot on goal. Was even on the night, which is, pretty good. Had 1 block, which is not something I expected from with Kent Johnson, but hey, I'll take it. So he is still it looks like he's figuring things out. He's putting things together as he goes. That first goal is going to come. He's got 2 games left of the season, and then it will, roll over into technically, I think, his rookie season next season. So we'll see if he manages to get it done before then. If he doesn't, I'm not worried. Like I said, he's doing all of the right things. He is not necessarily been put in the best position to succeed, I don't think. He was on the 4th line for a bunch of last night, which I did not agree with, and did yell on Twitter at Brad Larson about it, because what are we even doing here? You're playing Tampa Bay, who are one of the cup favorites. The season is basically done. Why are we not playing Ken Johnson as much as possible? Even if you want to limit his minutes, give him real line mates. No discredit to Brendan Gaunce and Carson Meyer, who have, done well in the limited minutes that they've had. Put him in the top 6. Put him up there. Why? What are we even doing here? But beyond all that, I don't think it was as even a game as a lot of people were saying. It looks pretty even, but all of the underlying stats and everything, Tampa Bay is the better team, and that shows, and it extremely shows when you're playing a semi-broken and very tired and very young Blue Jackets team who have, once again, a ton of injuries, and were missing, Werenski for a chunk of the game. Andrew Peak, I believe, was missing for a chunk of the game, and Nick Blankenberg missed a chunk of the game. So, all things considered, it could have been a lot worse, frankly. I'm not going to get too much into the next game because we literally just finished playing them, and it's the same team. I assume that Kucherov and Stamkos will continue to feast on the Blue Jackets like they did in this game. It was not as bad as the 7-2 loss last time, so hey, I'll take it. Progress? ? I don't think they're going to win this next game, but stranger things have happened. So in a minute, we're going to go to Prospect Corner. We're going to go back there. I sat down this weekend with Patrik Bexell to talk about a few of the Swedish prospects. So we are going to talk about another one of those in just a minute. But first, I've got to tell you about HelloFresh, because they are one of the newest sponsors of the Locked On Network, and I was super excited to find this because I am a HelloFresh customer. I have been for a long time. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. The ingredients travel from the farm to your doorstep in under a week, so they always arrive super fresh. You don't have to go to the grocery store or the farmer's market. It's all about convenience. Not only do the ingredients come pre-portioned, so you're not overbuying or wasting food, but they have options like family-friendly or quick and easy to get meals on the table in a snap that are delicious, nutritious, and filling. Like I said, I'm a huge HelloFresh fan. I have been using them on and off for about 5 years now, so I am very, very happy to say that I am endorsing HelloFresh. And here's the best bit. If you go to hellofresh.com/lockdown16, use code lockdown16, you can get up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Once again, that is hellofresh.com/lockdown16 and use code lockdown16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. But I want to talk about, I want to move on and talk a little bit about a different prospect. And I want to talk a little bit about Noah Ostlund, who, correct me if I'm wrong, is had a really, obviously Sweden did not have a great game yesterday, but I feel like Ostlund was one of the few bright spots.
Well, I didn't even watch the game because obviously I was having Chaco and tequilas. So
sounds like you made the right choice.
Best. Yeah, definitely. Don't drink and drive, kids. Whatever you do. That's why I had it at my place. But yeah, no, it's. I think it's really one of those players. He's smart. He's crafty. At this level, I don't think his size is going to be that kind of a difference. He is 5'10". I'm expecting him to grow into a bit of that, so maybe add 2 inches by the time he reaches NHL. Good balance. That's what I think is very interesting with him, because you usually see smaller players get tossed around a bit, and I don't see that really with him. He's smart, agile, good vision. I haven't been able to catch the glimpses I've caught shows hockey IQ. I'm not sure how high that reaches, but obviously he starts from a higher end because he is a center. But yeah, I think I do like him a lot. I really do, and we have so many short players in the NHL right now, so I don't think that he should fall just because of that.
No, more short players. I am as a goalie who is like 5'10" on a good day. I'm a big fan of shorter hockey players. But you compared Werenski to Elias Pettersson. Obviously, is there an NHL comparable for Ostlund or
no? Not to the same degree, because he doesn't have that kind of shot, and I think that's where it comes in. And also remember, he starts as a center, whereas Pettersson started as a winger as well. And everyone know what was going to happen. It was like Ovechkin, but in the other circle, more or less. And you know what was going to happen, and it just happened. I think that, who could be more comparable? I don't know. I really maybe a Suzuki kind of player, being a Montreal guy. Yeah, I can see a bit of Suzuki in him. Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad about having Nick Suzuki on my team. So
I don't think anyone would be with the development he has had, but it's so lazy to go. One thing with laziness, and I'm part of it, obviously, with Elias Pettersson and Lekkerimäki, but you choose this player that is from the same country. Go for a player that, actually fits the skill more. And I think you can see, but let's also remember, it took Suzuki quite a bit to get to where he is. You cannot draft him and expect him to be a Suzuki from the start. And I think that's sort of what the Twittersphere and the blogosphere and the commentosphere and sometimes the mediasphere as a general forgets that. It takes time to get there. And if it takes 2 years, 4 years, or even longer, if you have a player that plays 100 NHL games, you've probably done a good draft. You're obviously from England, and I lived in England, and I fell in love with rugby, and there is this small shitty country at the opposite end of the world that is famous for its rugby team, and they never let anyone stop playing rugby. And New Zealand has this thing where suddenly for the World Cup they have some 27-year-old you never heard about, because he's played in their league, and suddenly he's so good. And development takes different time for different players, and you can't really give up on someone because they're 20 and hasn't scored a goal in a while.
In a minute, I'm going to talk a little bit more with Patrik about prospects, but first I've got to tell you about Rock Auto. With every increasing number of makes and models of cars, it's basically impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why would you endure pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer? They choose the brand that their warehouse happens to carry. Why don't you just stay at home, stay on your couch? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. You can save time and money when using rockauto.com. They're a family business. They've been serving DIYers for over 20 years, and their prices are always reliably low no matter who you are. They've got everything from brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, even things like new carpet. If you can put it on or in your car or truck, rockauto.com probably sells it. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now to see all the parts available for your car or truck. Make sure you write Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Yeah, I mean, is Nick Suzuki even 25 yet? Like, I feel like
He's 21, 22.
Yeah, like he's still a kid. Like, and that's the thing that I am guilty of it as well, of being like, man, this kid's been in the league forever. How is he still not reached his potential? And like, I'm better at it now, but like for last season, I was super critical of Patrik Laine. Obviously, he didn't have
22 and a half.
22 and a half, yeah. Like he's 4 years removed from being drafted, you know?
Yeah.
He's not even hit his peak yet. And like Patrik Laine is 23. And there are so many people out there being like, oh, he's a bust.
Yeah, but look at Pierre-Luc Dubois Laine trade. It was 2 busts being traded, and they go like,
yeah. And I mean, look at what Laine did this season. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a monster in Winnipeg. Yeah. I'm a huge Dubois fan. I was so sad when we traded him. Like I understand, like,
but he doesn't have the Monker Punisher of pucks, so it's fine. You got like, that instead.
the only thing is, like, I would have loved to see them on a line together. Like, I think Laine and Dubois playing together could be just incredible. Unfortunately, you know, that's not going to happen. But like, there is this thing in hockey that if they're not breaking the game at the age of 19, then they're useless. And then, you know, like you said, like,
we saw it with Puljujärvi. He left to go back to Finland, and suddenly he's a loser and he's never going to become anything. And 2 years later, okay, he plays with McDavid, so okay, that's a little bit of a bonus. But come on, he's gotten there himself. It's not every one of us could play with could get to the chance to play with McDavid.
Yeah, like he's keeping up with McDavid, which I think is, you know, is impressive in and of itself.
Indeed,
and so it's always interesting to think about prospect development and how everyone has a different timeline. And I think especially when you look at guys that are kind of projected to go in the, I don't know, the 10 to 20 range, maybe. I think there's this
I'm not sure about Ostlund going that high. I'll be honest. I think he might be sort of later. I can see him between 20 and 30 more.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we've spoken about this when we spoke about moving Lekkerimäki to center. Centers might go. It's always going to have, you know, an added upside.
GM draft centers.
Yeah, indeed, because it's easier probably to move a center to the wing than the other way around. But yeah, it's interesting. I think, you know, you're going to get a good player drafting Ostlund. There's no doubt about that. He will come in, work ethic. He's used to adversity, because anywhere in hockey, short players are getting the Mickey taken out of them, and they're going to be bullied, etc., etc. on the ice, not off the ice. But the people are going to try to use force on them to throw them off the puck, and I can see Ostlund's balance and ability to skate and agility be helping him in this case, where you don't see that maybe with others. Again, first round pick, most likely bring him over to AHL. I can see that happening. Yeah.
So do you think he's a candidate for the AHL next season, or is he a guy? Obviously, his rights will stay, or his contract is with Djurgarden at the minute. Do you think he goes down to the second league, or do you think he's a guy that obviously it depends on which team drafts him? But do you think he's more likely to stay in Sweden?
Let's face it. It's these guys are, they're born and bred Djurgården fans. So they are going to want to stay and help the team up and become a legend of the club in a way, being part of that team that brings them up. There are two problems with Djurgården going down and for prospect development in some ways. You could either do, let's take our prospects and give them free rein and let them play, and we'll hope they make it. Or as we see with HV71, that is a team that went down last year. They had a much better budget, though. They had one of the richest clubs in Sweden in own capital. And they just went out and said, we want him, and him. And we're going to go up next year, and they're going to do it. So they won the first best out of 7 games with 6-1 yesterday against the second best team in the league. So and Djurgården would probably look to do the same thing. And there remains the factor, will the kids get to play? And I can see an NHL team think no. So they're not going to get the power play time. They're not going to get the offensive zone starts that they might need. Then they're going to play on the third, fourth line. So yeah, I will bring them over to AHL and play them on the second or first line and give them the power play time, build their confidence, getting used to the NHL and North American style of hockey. And yeah, I can definitely see that happening from both ends, from Djurgården's end and from the NHL club drafting them's end.
Yeah, for sure. It's European hockey is just so different to North American hockey, I think, and that I think it throws North Americans off, especially when they're like, Swedish hockey is weird. But I like the relegation system a lot more. And again, I don't know if that's being English. Obviously, football is big.
Yeah, I think we've been brought up with it, being English and Europeans, and we've been brought up with relegation. It's part of the core of our values when it comes to sports. In many ways, we don't have the franchise, except for the shitty Milton Keynes Dons, because I'm a Wimbledon fan, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's and I know some North American players that I've done interviews with are a bit like, it's kind of weird because at the trade deadline in North America, the worst teams are sellers. In Europe, the worst teams are buyers because they don't want to end up in the relegation battle.
Yeah.
so it contrasts very differently in that regard.
And that's about all I've got for today. Tomorrow we're going to do another prospect profile with Patrik. That's going to be tomorrow's episode. We'll also probably do a little bit of a game preview. I don't think there's going to be a ton of different moves for the Blue Jackets, but we'll do one anyway, just in case. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. I super appreciate it. We are free and available on all podcast platforms and also on YouTube. I've been your host, Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the podcast over at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.